And so now I'm just going to show you like a couple examples. I'm going to show you 3 essay prompts that kind of answer the same question, which is think about an academic subject that inspires you and how you have furthered this interest inside and or outside of the classroom. So there's different approaches to every UC prompt. So our team members volunteer to show you parts of our essays to kind of help you understand like how this looks like in real life. So this is actually my response, word from word. And so like I just kind of want to show you how I went about doing this. I wanted to make sure that I answer this question first of all. Like that's the #1 priority with all these UC prompts, especially because like Emily said, you know, there's a lot less space, so you just want to be upfront. So the first paragraph, and even to some extent the second paragraph, kind of just brings that human connection. It reveals that I really care about my family, that this is something that my great-grandfather's dementia is something that led me to pursue psychology and like neuroscience type of research. So that is established with pretty like not super flowery language, but like more of a life experience. And then after that, I weave in that life experience with just like the content, like the straightforward content where I just answer the question. And I'm like, oh, I researched and stuff, and I joined this lab, and how, and like, and basically, if you like think of it in like fraction of like a whole, the first part where I'm just like talking about my grandpa, it would be like honestly like 1/5 of the essay, and the rest of it is just answering the question completely. So that's like one approach that you can have when you're tackling a UC prompt. Another approach, and this is by our other team member, Ashley, is when you make it a lot more experience-based. Now, she answers the question for sure, and that's answered here in the 4th paragraph. But throughout the whole essay, she talks a lot about a certain person that she helped with when she was volunteering. This person had autism, was on the spectrum, so she kind of just traced down the fact that this person is her, like, you know, she has her own sense of autonomy and agency, and you just really need to understand her, and this understanding and this experience that she had is what led her to kind of it inspired her first of all, and also led her to pursue neuroscience on another level. So this is more of an experience-based type of essay, and a very like well done essay, as you can see here. So it's another approach that you can consider taking. This is our last approach. This has little to like, it basically has no like human experience. Suchi wanted to make sure that because she had many different ways that she explored her interest for biology, she wanted to make sure that it was included here. And so what it was actually really smartly done is because she made sure that it wasn't like all like, oh, I did this, I did that, I did this. Like every single paragraph had kind of a theme to it. Like the first one, she very casually brings up like a conference that she's like sat in on and how it really helped her understand the application of biology. In the second paragraph, she talks about how that conference led her to pursue biology on a greater level. And then she brings that down all the way to the summer of 2019, where she had an internship. So she just mentions all these things that she does, but she does it in an engaging way. And another thing that she wanted us to tell you guys is that because this essay is so much more straightforward than the other 2 UC prompts that we just showed you, what this means is that because at the end you have 4 prompts that you can choose from 8, right? If you choose to make one essay more direct and more straightforward, then in the other essays you can apply more of a storytelling thing. So it's not like you have to have a set structure for every single essay. You are free to experiment and be creative. But sometimes it might just be better to straight up just answer the question without making like a human connection, because answering the question, as I said before, is the #1 priority here with any single essay that you do during this process. And from there, we're gonna begin with how to brainstorm and how to write a why this college essay. This is an essay that's not that hard to write, honestly. It's just hard to get started because you don't really know the structure. I think that's something that wasn't very clear to us when we started this whole process, so we really wanted to make sure that you understood what we meant by this. It's really easy to make mistakes here though, so we're going to talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, so like Shuvi said, a lot of colleges require this essay, and in some ways it's kind of a harder essay to write because you have to do a lot of research. But in time, you're going to realize it's just a tiny bit formulaic. You can kind of do the same thing if you follow these steps, and you can apply it to all the schools that basically have this essay. So This is kind of a list of steps that we have. The first thing to do is just really do a lot of research about the school. So this is much more than just looking at, oh, what's the school color, what's the school mascot, where is it located, but really stuff like what kind of programs are here that you're interested in, what kind of activities, students, groups. And although you guys can't really go on campus right now to go and check out the school, many colleges do have virtual tours and info sections that you can attend, and we really recommend attending that if you're really interested in the college. And so while you're doing your research, list a couple of reasons why you're interested in this college. And these reasons shouldn't be like, oh, it's a high ranking. Although if it has like, for example, really good program that you're interested in, that could be a good reason. But also things like, oh, there's maybe like a class I really want to take, or there's a group I really want to join. And so second of all, you can connect these opportunities that are offered at the school to things that you have already done. So this is actually a really great way to showcase more about yourself and your extracurriculars and experiences. If there are like some things that you maybe were not able to bring up in your other essays, this is kind of a smart way to put that in too. So again, don't talk about basic things, but more things like maybe you've done research in a certain area, and there's a professor at the school that does research in that area that you would like to work with. And so next, kind of in the same vein, talk about how you're going to really capitalize your interests and continue pursuing your passions at the school. So one example was, for example, maybe you did the school newspaper in high school, and you want to continue doing that in college with greater interest in investigative journalism, media ethics, and law. Or if there's like any sort of class that really shows what you've like done in high school and what you were interested in, and you want to explore more in depth. And then this next point is actually pretty important. So sometimes with colleges, there's kind of like a give or take kind of thing. So you're going to benefit a lot from this college by getting the education, having these opportunities. But at the same time, you also kind of want to show the college that you're going to be helping them as well. Like maybe you'll be participating in student groups and you'll be able to enact some sort of positive change within the college. And so that's really important as well. Kind of be like, hey, I can give you this, or I can get this from you, but also I can give you this. And then also choose the most relevant activities to be included in your essay. So once again, things that you can continue doing in this college, and make sure that this kind of fits along. If you have like a spike or something, this fits along with your brand of your application. And then lastly, make sure that you put all of this in your essay. So often you would want to use proper nouns, like the names of the clubs, again, the names of the professors, names of the classes, and you're going to want to somehow incorporate this into the essay seamlessly. And so this might seem kind of hard to just like randomly put in like CS 106 or something in your essay, but this is something that we can definitely help you with, and it's a lot less hard than it seems. So this is an example of just how a student was able to take what they wanted from college and be able to find specific examples from that college. And it's really important to be specific here. So for example, the student is interested in sports journalism, and he's looking at Northwestern University. So this is a very general kind of interest. I want to do sports journalism, but he really did his research and looked at, like, for example, Northwestern has a lot of Division I sports, and also there's one of his favorite sport reporters is at the Northwestern School of Journalism, Media, and Integrated Marketing Communications. And as well, he also said, I want to be in a community where you can write and produce your own plays. They also talk about how they can apply this into the university and how they can help add to the community there as well. And so once again, it's really important to use these proper nouns, these capitalized names, and so on, and also be really specific about what you want to do.
So just some more examples, like the idea of mentioning very specific courses is really important, but it's even more important to not just put down names for the sake of putting down names. You have to really elaborate on them. So for example, this little excerpt was for UPenn, and they want to study gender, sexuality, women's studies. And so they have this really specific class that they want to take, Professor Kathleen Brown's Gender and Society class. But rather than just listing it, you can see that they wanted to learn more about social identities, etc. And they really went really like deep into what they wanted to do there. And that was really good of them because it shows how much research they put into this, which is just like another way of showing how much effort and how much that school matters to you. So it's very important to be able to have that elaboration. And then next, really mention how you're going to give back to this school's community. It's sort of a crude way to say it, but this is definitely a transactional thing. So it's not just like, oh, what college is going to fit the best for me? It's also the college thinking, what students are going to fit best on our campus? So you really want to portray yourself as someone that they're going to want. So rather than just saying, oh, I'm going to do this because I want to do that. You can be like, oh, through this, I'm going to do blah. And so it's going to give back to the school's community. And so in this example, in particular, they say that they want to join their policy of climate action and to increase the efficiency of this machinery. And that shows how much knowledge they have about the subject or how much research they've done. Like either way, that's a good thing. And, you know, also implies that they will gain something personally, but through giving back to the school.
And another thing is, like we mentioned earlier, is you need to ensure that there's no disconnect between the high school person that you were and also the college person that you will become. Meaning that if you have some interests, you will continue working on them in the college should you be accepted. So in your essays, you want to ensure that you're stating how you explore your high school interests explicitly. For example, this person does it really, really well. So there, it's an essay for Cornell. And this person was really into like deep neural activity and they did research on that, I guess, and it's like something that they're passionate about. And then they want to work with this particular doctor, Chris Shu, and in expanding the current three-fold microscope. So, you know, big words, but like the point is that they did a lot of specific research and then they connected it to what they did in high school. So that's the point. Like, you know, you're capitalizing on your interests. You're really going to make the best out of your education. Every college wants to see that. You also can take the time to kind of mention or like name drop activities that you didn't talk about earlier in your application. As we mentioned in our previous webinar, the Common App has 10 activities or slots for 10 activities. You don't have to fill any of them, all of them, of course, fill some. But if there are some activities that you didn't get a chance to talk about, this is the time to kind of include it in there if it fits well. Don't just name drop activities for the sake of name dropping them. Yeah.
So like Shuvi and Emily said, in some ways this essay is also a way to show the college that you've kind of done your research, you know what it's going to be like to be on campus, and you think that you belong there. So a great way to show that, other than just name dropping professors and activities, is also to talk about what the school cares about. So over here we have an example from one of our team members about Santa Clara University. And so they mentioned that while they were visiting, they noticed values like the well-rounded nature, things like its values of service and compassion, and how they're going to join their program in order to contribute back and reflect those values back into the community at SCU. So this is really kind of a more subtle way of talking about how you're going to fit into the college, but it's really important to see like what the college values. So often it's going to be things like service, liberal arts education, if that's something you're looking into, is a great thing to mention for if you're interested in that for a lot of liberal arts schools, and also like well-roundedness. So this takes a little bit more time to kind of research and see that, but often these are going to be in like their mission statements or some of the perspectives by other students.
And so that was kind of it for our essays. This was our last webinar in our summer series of 3 webinars. We kind of want to focus on college because that's coming up sooner, but we will continue our counseling services. So please, please sign up. We're so happy to help you. That would make our day. And we want to like make sure that you know that as late September rolls around, we will resume holding webinars. And some potential topics in the future can be financial aid, preparing for interviews, writing deferred waitlist letters called letters of continued interest or LOCI, and navigating, for us it was Monte Vista because that was the school that we went to, but also in general high school toxicity that might come. You know, it's a hard time for everyone and some people kind of lash out. It's just their reaction. We kind of want to help you navigate that as well as college decisions because that is a whole process in itself. And we will, and if there's anything else that you want us to do like a webinar on, email us, drop us a comment, do whatever, like just let us know. We're more than happy to help you. And if you have any questions at all, no matter how small or how like big, or if we've covered it or not, or if you've like covered it extensively, just feel free to email us. And again, like this is all for you. Thank you so much for coming to our webinar and sign up for our services.
Yay, thank you.
Yay.